Hello everyone. Do Leviyim and Yisraelim have a mitzvah to Duchen? That sounds like a trick question. Like one of those questions of if Tisha B'Av comes out on Rosh Chodesh. Impossible. The Torah says explicitly that Daber al Aaron vel banav lemor kol tevarchu et bnei Yisrael, that Aaron and his sons, namely Kohanim, are the only ones that Duchen. So what do I mean? Do regular Yisraelim and Leviyim have a mitzvah to Duchen? Well, the Shulchan Aruch does paskin, and I quote his words, V'ha'am yechavnu lavracha. When the Kohanim Duchen, you should have kavana for their bracha. This is repeated by the Shulchan Aruch Harav, the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, in his code of Jewish law. B'sha'asha Kohanim mevarchim, ha'am yiyeh eineihem klapei mata kemi she'omed b'tfilah bechavana, shahareihem mitpalalim shivarecha Kodesh Baruch Hu et Yisrael, kol Yisrael. When the Kohanim Duchen, the Jewish people should have their eyes downwards, not just not to look at the Kohanim, but rather to have kavanah as they do in the Amidah in order to daven to Hashem that He should bless the Jewish people. From here we can infer that there is some sort of a kavanah that the Jewish people should have during Duchening of the Kohanim. And the question is a simple one. Do we also have a mitzvah in some way or another? The Ritva says, absolutely none. And I quote his words decisively, there is no mitzvah to be blessed, mitzvah to Kohen. It's only on a mitzvah on the Kohen. Rav Yaakov Farbstein, in his responsum called Ohalei Yaakov, says, even though there is a school of thought that says that there might be a mitzvah to be blessed, it can't be. Why? The Shulchan Aruch lo hiviken ka'alacha psuka. The Shulchan Aruch himself didn't bring a halacha that all of us have a mitzvah to go and be blessed. He also didn't bring a halacha that if you go to shul and there's no Kohanim on the day that you're supposed to Duchen, you're supposed to find another shul and Duchen. From this perspective, we have no mitzvah. The Kohanim have a mitzvah to bless us. And probably the Shulchan Aruch means don't disturb them when they do their mitzvah. However, there's a Sefer Charedim. The Sefer Charedim, quoted by Rabbi Akiva Eger, quoted by the Bir Halacha, quoted by the Pitchei Tshuva, says, and I quote, not only does a Kohen have to bless the Jewish people, the Yisrael omdim panim keneged pnei HaKohanim b'shtika umechavnim libam lekabel birkatam kidvar Hashem, Heim nami bichlal mitzvah. When we stand in front of the Kohanim quietly and have kavanah to receive their blessing, we have a mitzvah as well, implying that just like there's a mitzvah for the Kohen to bless, there is a mitzvah upon the Jewish people to be blessed. And this can be taken in three different ways. Rav Yehuda Asad, in his famous Shut Yehuda Ya'aleh, says there really isn't a mitzvah, but rather Mesayim Yedei Hoseh HaMitzvah. Namely, we're helping them do their mitzvah. What are they supposed to bless? No one? We have to bless something. It's like you bless an apple by holding an apple in your hand. You have to bless the Jewish people by having Jewish people there. So they have a mitzvah to do that. We help them do the mitzvah. From this perspective, there is no mitzvah upon us. We just help them. However, the Dvar Avraham, the last functioning chief rabbi of Kovna, who died unfortunately in the middle of the Shoah, was brought with the Kever Yisrael. He gave smicha to Rav Soloveitchik. He writes that there is a mitzvah upon the Jewish people to actually be blessed, but it's a difference. A Kohen should look for a shul with a minyan so he can bless the Jewish people. And if he didn't, he was mevatel a positive commandment. Aval al Yisrael and chiyuv klal lechazer achar birkat kohanim. But the Jew does not have any mitzvah to look for duchening. Ella, rather, shamitzvah yirak she'im hakohanim mevarchim yishmu v'yichavnu libam lehitbarech. Rather, they only have one mitzvah, and that is that if they're in a shul and the Kohanim are Duchening, then they have a mitzvah to be blessed. But they don't have to look actively for a shul to be blessed. In other words, for the Kohen, it's like the mitzvah of tefillin. Whether you like it or not, you put it on every day except for Shabbos and Yom Tov. For the Jew who's not a Kohen, it's a mitzvah, but it's a mitzvah like shechita. If you want to eat meat, you have to shech the animal. But you don't have to look for an animal to shecht if you're not interested in eating kosher meat. And that's what Rav Yaakov Farbstein writes in that same Shut Ohalei Yaakov, that it's what we call a mitzvah chiyuvit and not kiyumit. And therefore, he says, it makes sense why the Shulchan Aruch didn't bring a mitzvah to go look for a shul, because there is no mitzvah like that. If you happen to be in shul and you happen to be blessed, that's great. But the third way to understand this is there's an actual mitzvah to be blessed. The Aruch HaShulchan says, Yesh mi shekatav shegam ala Yisrael yesh mitzvat asher sheyitbarech. Klomar, chiyuv yesh alav lehitbarech mi Kohanim, ve'im eino choshesh lezeh, have keboet beberkotav shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have a mitzvah to be blessed. It's an absolute obligation. And if we don't go out of our way to fulfill this obligation, it's like kicking God and saying, we're not interested in your blessings. And Rabbi Yaakov Farbstein says that the hafla in the Minchat Chinuch, the way they quote the Sefer Charedim, B'yaruda havi chiyuv asei, v'Yisrael she'ino mitbarech, mevatel asei. Just like a Kohen who doesn't Duchen is mevatel a mitzvah asei, so to a Jew who's not being Duchened on is mevatel a mitzvah asei. So what we saw today is something very, very innovative. And that is, not only does the Kohen have to bless, it could be that the Jew has to be blessed. The Ritva says absolutely not, but quoted by the Bir Halacha and Rabbi Akiva Iga, the Sefer Charedim says yes. Either that means we help them, no mitzvah, or it means it is a mitzvah, but it's like shechita. If you want to, you can. Just like if you want to eat matzah for the last 6 days of Pesach, you can, but there's no obligation. But if you do it, it's a mitzvah. But the Aruch HaShulchan seems to say decisively, no. There's a mitzvah to be blessed, just like there's a mitzvah to bless. Is there any ramification? We're going to see a few in the next few podcasts.
Oh, you know, they say, but they say,